both in Jammu and Kashmir as well as internationally. US Secretary of State John Kerry has just raised the Uri attack with Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in New York City. Secretary Kerry has expressed concern. The United States has humiliated Pakistan by telling Nawaz Sharif to prevent terrorists from finding a safe haven in that country. The US has also asked Pakistan for restraint in talking about nuclear weapons. That's the very latest that we're getting to you right now. We have with us our executive editor, Gaurav Sawant, who's with us live. Gaurav, take us through precisely what Senator Kerry has said. This is going to come as a huge international embarrassment for Nawaz Sharif and for Pakistan just 48 hours after the Uri attack.
If you can hear me, the point is that yesterday, just a couple of hours back, in fact, from the Pakistani Foreign Office, when that statement was put out, they seemed to suggest that actually Pakistan had taken up the issue of Jammu Kashmir and its resolution in all earnestness and with proper strength with the Americans. But, now that you see the American version of what actually transpired, clearly John Kerry had much on his mind. He also raised serious concerns about the Uri attack. What is significant is that it also says that John Kerry actually asked Pakistan to show restraint. It asked Nawaz Sharif basically to show restraint in the use of nuclear weapons as well. So, this is something that does underline the fact that Americans are worried about what is playing out in the subcontinent at the moment. They are worried about possibly the escalation of a war-like situation. And at the same time, they have asked Pakistan to make sure that terrorists, of course, are not provided safe havens in their country. Shiv?
Has there been a reaction from Pakistan just yet, Smita, on this?
Well, no, this has just come out. It's just been put out by the State Department, and we're the first ones, in fact, to carry it on India today. But the Pakistanis, Nawaz Sharif, of course, will be addressing the United Nations General Assembly session later, tomorrow night. And he's already trying to harp on the K bogey, raise the K issue wherever possible, be it with the Pakistani community there. But clearly all his, the screaming, shouting, asking for intervention on Kashmir issue, that has not really gone down with the international community, which is more concerned about Pakistan's, in fact, attitude towards terrorism at the moment.
Absolutely. But, this is going to add to the pile of diplomatic gains post the Uri attack as far as India is concerned. We've had many countries align themselves already, Smita, against Pakistan. The US is a well-known ally of Pakistan, a supplier of weapons to Pakistan as well, and also an important trade partner. But how much should we read into Secretary Kerry's, words to Pakistan's Prime Minister?
There has been some shift as far as the Capitol Hill is concerned, Washington D.C. is concerned, shift. Remember, there was a time when for Washington D.C., India and Pakistan used to be completely hyphenated. We would see any American leader who would come to the subcontinent would inevitably make a trip to Pakistan as well if he were coming to India. Also, the very perception of terrorism used to be very different for the Americans, which significantly changed post the 9/11 attacks, when the terror attacks, in fact, came closer home and, shattered American, in fact, confidence, as how we saw that in the 9/11 attacks. So over the years, of course, there is a growing frustration. There have been very strong comments made by, Hillary Clinton, of course, when she was the foreign minister, to the other defense ministers every time they visited Pakistan. That famous now comment of, if you have snakes in your backyard, is going to bite you comment of Hillary Clinton. Senators, lawmakers, of course, they have been asking for a reduction of funds to Pakistan, to try and ensure that, they act on terror and don't really sort of fool Americans and waste taxpayers' money. But having said that, we do realize that at the end of the day, Pakistan still remains very relevant, still remains strategically important for America in its efforts to try and stabilize Afghanistan. Till the time they are able to work things with Iran, find alternate route options for supplies, Pakistan will remain important, and that's the point that they have been trying to blackmail the Western community with, or trying to leverage their influence on ships.
Absolutely, Smita, stay with me. Gaurav Sawant, executive editor, also with us live on this. Gaurav, this is a ball that's rolling faster and faster as far as Pakistan is concerned. You've got Nawaz Sharif sitting pretty, trying to look happy and confident in New York City. It's a little embarrassing shaking hands with Secretary Kerry there, hoping that, this bit of a crybaby show, will, persuade or impress the United States. This is the diplomatic equivalent of a kick in the teeth, Gaurav.
Oh, absolutely, Shiv. You're spot on there. A big dressing down for Pakistan. And this is something you and I were talking about. India's big diplomatic offensive. And the fact that India is not spearheading it, it's the world powers that are now telling Pakistan to start cracking down on terror. John Kerry, when that meeting took place, why is it that Nawaz Sharif did not take any questions? Because Nawaz Sharif was red in the face after that meeting. He tried to rake up Kashmir. He desperately tried to rake up Kashmir, whether it was his meeting with John Kerry or whether it was, the meeting with Theresa May. But he got no hearing from either. And John Kerry spoke of Uri, spoke of Pakistani terrorists, spoke of Jaish-e-Mohammed infiltrating and killing 18 Indian Army soldiers, and that, he said, is unacceptable. Whatever is the conversation that is to take place, it's supposed to take place in a peaceful environment. And as far as Pakistan's relevance for Afghanistan is concerned, it is steadily decreasing. Afghanistan's President Ashraf Ghani himself is hitting out at Pakistan-sponsored terror. And how? So as far as America is concerned, there's also the Chabahar port that they're talking about. So very, very clearly, Pakistan is in the international doghouse, and the bad days for Pakistan are just starting.
Two stories, two big breaking stories. First, as always, here on India Today by the finest reporting team in the country. Gaurav reports that 8 Pakistani terrorists have been killed on the line of control just a short while ago. Smita, our editor, reports that Secretary Kerry has just given Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif what is the equivalent of the worst diplomatic humiliation you can possibly get, especially when you're trying to find favor in difficult circumstances with your principal ally, the United States. Smita and Gaurav, stay with me. I just want to take our viewers through once again these two big breaking stories. That number has gone up from 8 to 10 terrorists now. 15 Pakistani terrorists had infiltrated, and now 8 have been killed. 2 more we can confirm have been killed now. The total number of terrorists killed in this afternoon's ongoing operation has risen to 10. So 10 terrorists have been killed, Gaurav, and 5 are still out there, still at large. 10 terrorists killed. That's huge. This was probably a border action team of some kind, Gaurav.
Yes, Shiv, and this is that big story that India Today was breaking, that Pakistan continues with pushing terrorists into India. Despite Punch, despite Uri, the infiltration attempts are on. And government had made it very clear to Army Commander, Northern Command General Huda, that there are no restrictions. He's the Army Commander for the Northern Army. It is his decision, his army's decision, how they want to deal with Pakistan-sponsored terror. And immediately the army's gone out. They've killed 10 terrorists. There's a massive operation that's underway. Shiv, there is clear and present danger because there are other terrorists who are still holed up, perhaps either in the reception area or in the depth area in the hinterland, still trying to make it to Srinagar. So, the danger remains, but the army is out on the offensive, and this is the good news story, that the army is out on the offensive and terrorists are being eliminated. So that is the big story. Now, there are massive security forces who are already deployed there. There are also brigade reserves who are there. So in case additional forces are required, it will be made available. Pakistan giving covering fire to these terrorists is a very alarming story, and that is something which is completely unacceptable, Shiv.
3 big developments. We're reporting them all at once here on India Today, because that's how big this story really is. 10 Pakistani terrorists have been killed in an ongoing Indian Army operation at the Uri sector of the line of control. As we speak, the hunt is on for 5 more Pakistani terrorists who've managed to evade this initial defensive attack by the Indian Army. The second big development that's happening thousands of miles away in New York City. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif of Pakistan, while his terrorists have been killed at the line of control, he has been humiliated by the US Secretary of State, John Kerry, by where he went to persuade him to intervene in the Kashmir issue. Senator Kerry has basically told Nawaz Sharif to stop sponsoring terrorism. And of course, the third big development is that here in India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called for a meeting of the Apex Cabinet Committee on Security tomorrow late in the morning, at which, of course, today's terror attack as well as the terror attack in the Uri sector 48 hours ago will be on the table. Smita, at this point of time, we do know that there will be a Cabinet Committee on Security meeting at some point tomorrow. Do we have a sense, can we get a sense of what this meeting is really going to be about? Because there's been a lot of speculation of India's response. But what we do know is that diplomatically speaking, things are definitely rolling, Smita.
Well, clearly, there is a diplomatic offensive that India is going ahead with. But in terms of a possible military retaliation, if you talk to people around you, these images of martyrs, their last rites, they have spread a lot of anger, frustration, anguish with people who are actually digging out old tweets of the Prime Minister when he was in the opposition, where he would take, in fact, the then Congress government to task for any terror attack and say that your response has to be tough. So people have been asking that what is this tough response? Now, clearly, in terms of military options, there is always that apprehension as two nuclear-armed neighbors of an escalation into a full-on war with serious, of course, consequences. But the government is calculating all its options on the table. Since in the last 48 hours, we've seen several high-level meetings take place at different levels. There have been meetings that have been led by Rajnath Singh. There have been meetings that NSA Ajit Doval, of course, has been taking care of. The RAW, the IB chiefs have all been a part of this strategizing. We also saw that high-level meeting, but surprisingly did not include Sushma Swaraj, though, the foreign minister who will actually be the flag bearer of India's diplomatic offensive at the United Nations General Assembly session over the weekend, on 26th of September. But tomorrow when the Cabinet Committee on Security happens, hopefully Sushma Swaraj will be back in 7 RCR when Prime Minister Narendra Modi sits down with his top strategists and looks through the options as to what next can be done in terms of trying to isolate Pakistan.
To isolate Pakistan is surely, providing already very early dividends as far as India is concerned. Because remember, it's going to be a multi-pronged approach, as Gaurav Sawant's been reporting right through today. It's going to be a military response. It's going to be a diplomatic response, as Smita has just reported. It's going to be an economic one. It's going to be a trade one. At every single level, you're seeing a complete parivartan. You're seeing a complete change in India's Pakistan policy. Gaurav, this could be the beginnings of no more business as usual. That appears to be clear now, Gaurav.
Oh, absolutely, Shiv. The government made it very clear. Ravi Shankar Prasad said our relationship with Pakistan has changed forever. He was only articulating the thinking in the government. Why? Because repeatedly Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been stabbed in the back. Twice he trusted Pakistan. First when he invited Nawaz Sharif for his swearing in, along with all the other SARC heads of governments and state. And second time, which was his personal faith in Nawaz Sharif and his personal investment in the relationship with Nawaz Sharif, when he dropped in at Lahore, and then there was an attack in Pathankot. After that, now there's been an attack in Uri. So enough is enough of that sari and shawl diplomacy with Pakistan. Now Pakistan will actually see India's national power on display, not just military power. It won't just be a military response. There will be a military response. It may not happen immediately, but there will be a very strong diplomatic response, and that we're already seeing. We're seeing Afghanistan come out in the open. We're seeing Bangladesh come out in the open. We will gradually see all the other SARC nations come out in the open. In South Asia, Pakistan will be isolated. United States, John Kerry has already told Pakistan, sort out Uri first. We'll talk about other issues later. Other countries are set to say exactly the same thing. Pakistan will be completely isolated diplomatically, and then whether Pakistan is isolated economically remains to be seen. Whether India declares Pakistan a state sponsor of terror, whether India scales down ties with Pakistan, whether India scales down trade ties with Pakistan, no matter how small they may be, but at least a strong signal will go out.
A strong signal will go out, and this is all about India's national power on full display. We're going to stay on this story and we're going to continue our coverage. Smita and Gaurav, thanks only for the moment, and you will of course be getting us more breaking news on these rapid developments both here in Delhi, in Uri, as well as in New York City, where Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is busy being humiliated